And welcome to the first look seminar. And actually, if you were behind the scenes, Gino Bacola, this would be technically the third look seminar because I couldn't log in. But now I believe we are live and logged in to another Pick 5 preview show for Saturday, Gino.
Yeah, sometimes the technology escapes us, but hopefully the handicapping won't be as hard for us as we're trying to navigate you through the late Pick 5 on Saturday at Santa Anita. We're up in full swing now at Santa Anita. We've got everything going on. You want to come out to the track, there's lots of events live, or you can stay home. You can play in those free-to-enter pick'em contests. You can play along in the Pick 5 with us. How about the coast-to-coast Pick 5s? Those are back. We love those wagers too. $1 minimum, 15% takeout races from Santa Anita and Gulfstream. You can check out all the races and all that info at santanita.com. So yeah, we got contests at ExpressBet. It's just a great time of the year where we're rocking and rolling at Santa Anita.
And from Equine Edge, our man Scotty McKeever. And Scotty, I know we talked about this last week, but all the new wagers we put in with all the player-friendly 15% takeout, and it's been a terrific start to the meet thus far.
Yeah, I've been reading a lot lately on the players don't want these high takeouts anymore. They're doing the math, and they're starting to see that between the CAWs and the high takeouts, they're just impossible. It's not a winning play, and we have to start making it where it's profitable for players, but also owners and trainers. And we really, we've lost, from what I was reading, 30% of trainers, so we got to get that back. And this is a great start. It's so far been a really nice meet, and people are starting to play, and they're putting the money in the windows for sure.
No doubt about it. And I have to thank our next guest, Seminar Skip, because he's actually the brains behind the IT that got us back on. If you ever follow us on Saturday mornings, Skip and I are IT geniuses. Thanks, Skip, for making that work.
Yeah,
and if you believe that, I got a bridge to sell you.
We're not real good at.
Somehow we made
real
it.
Good at the IT stuff.
That's right. All right. Tomorrow and Sunday. Reminder: we added another race, so both days, tomorrow and Sunday, 11:30 first post. So 11:30 first post. We are going to talk late Pick 5s. We are heading to race number 6. Scotty, I will start with you. We're going 6 furlongs, maiden special weight on the turf. Calbred's here. What are your thoughts in this big field of possibly, well, there's 13 with the also eligible?
I think this one's pretty chalky to start off with, guys. I think you can limit this to maybe 3 horses, unless I've missed it. But I think Me So Fancy is going to be very tough. Ran very good first time out for Leonard Powell. Umberto jumps aboard. It went 5 furlongs, 6 furlongs. The GSR only goes up. The win percentage goes from 10% to 33 on the Equinedge numbers. And it's and this horse is also the top Equinedge pick. It has one of the top breeding metrics, our GSR. So I'm going to use the 9. I actually might single the 9, but I respected Orange Thunder, the 3 horse who has been knocking on the door. But I like this cut back here for this horse, and that was a pretty decent field that she faced last time out, guys, for Craig Lewis. And then the Equinedge long shots, the 4 horse for Phil D'Amato, went 5 furlongs last time out, has some speed. And for Nick Alexander, who owned and bred this horse, Maria's Tall Chief is actually 3-1 on the EE morning line and shows as the fastest horse in the race. So I'm using 3, 4, 9 for now, and I might single the 9 Me So Fancy.
All right, so 3, 4, 9, possibly singling the 9 on one ticket at 6 to 5 in the morning line. I do have a long shot that I'm going to add in, but I want to see if any of my two esteemed other guests have that. So I'm going to wait till the end. Gino, what are your thoughts in here? Are you using anybody besides 9, 3, 4? Obviously, 9 is going to be odds on in here.
Yeah, the 4 I'm glad you mentioned too, because the 4 with the decent start might be able to clear this field. There's not a whole lot of other proven speed in here. And I think this horse's Dam was a 2-time winner on the turf. Both of the wins were going long. So while this isn't long, it's a little bit longer than what she did in her debut. So as the distances expand, she shouldn't have any problem with that. And I like what she did. She kind of sat second and she took a shot at the leader, faded back. The horse who will likely be favored, Me So Fancy, ran right by her. There were 2 that if I was going to expand a little bit, I might look at Nepal, who just kind of had a no-chance trip last time out. I just don't know how good she is, though, overall. And then Forest Dazzle to the outside. another one who I might give another chance to. But I kind of agreed with Scotty. This is probably a race where you shorten up and use some of the more logical contenders.
All right, so a couple possible long shots in there with the 5 and the 12, along with the Captain Obvious horses there. Skipper, what are your thoughts?
I was going to use the 2, Bebop Lady. It does have a couple gaps in her work pattern, but the dam has produced 4 winners from 5 foals. So I like that, and a couple turf winners too. The other horse that I thought worked decently that I might use on a ticket is the 1, Butterfly Beach. I know Drysdale doesn't win first time out a lot. This horse looks like it wasn't switching leads in the workouts, but the last one on the first, it looked like it did late. I liked it, and I might use that one too. I think the 9's going to be awful tough. So I'll single the 9 on one ticket. On the other one that I spread, I'm going to use the 1, 2, 3, and 4.
All right, so 2-1 a little bit in some spread cases. I did did not change leads till late as well on the 1. The one I was interested in is the 12 that Gino mentioned. That horse was checked fairly hard a couple times and then galloped out well. And the work on December 20th, I thought maybe the horse is a little green still. The jockey kind of yanked the horse's head a few times. But I think she's got some talent, and it's not going to get bet out there.
And it was right when she was starting to move, too.
She was moving.
She was starting to move, and she ran into it. Like, I don't know if she was going to win, but she wasn't that far behind the 4 who we're talking about, right? And Me So Fancy ran kind of by them. She can absolutely improve. My only concern with her is something that Scott's mentioned a few times, is just the post on this turf course. It's just really tough. You have to have either a lot of speed to clear it, or kind of the opposite, like you're just going to drop way, way out of it. And I think this horse is kind of an in-betweener. So I just hope they don't get parked out wide and maybe softened up a little bit late.
Yeah. Scotty, do you have any?
No, that's exactly.
Stats on the post there?
The only thing I will say is this horse does have some tactical speed, but the 9 and the 10 are very fast. So as I run the simulator right now, guys, the 9 and the 10 are pretty fast. The 12 is going to have to get a flyer out of the gate. And with that could improve, but she got beat so easily by Me So Fancy last time out, and she can improve, no doubt about it. But the post, as good as the 9 is, and the 4 is very fast inside of the 12 too, and the 4 has every right to improve as well, guys. So I'm going to wait for another day for the 12 horse, but I can understand why you would bring her up.
See, not
Sneaky
only
trouble.
Handicap the races, you handicap the handicappers. See,
right.
Exactly. Exactly.
If I get 20-1, I'm loading up on that horse. Why not? You got to get the price to bet him, right? So,
absolutely.
All right, we move on to the second leg, race 7. We got a mile allowance optional claimer, and finally, Gino, the return of Eagles Flight. Flightline's brother is back. Even money on the morning line. What are your thoughts here in this field of 7? We have once again Miramati back and going long again, as well as New King for Baffert. Is it easy as those 3, or is Eagles Flight going to soar and romp here, having never gone 2 turns and off a long layoff? Yeah, are there foot problems again with this? I'm not sure. Is it following the same path as Flightline? Very talented.
Super talented. We haven't seen the horse since May. This is not a stakes race on paper, but you have 3 legitimate stakes quality runners in Eagles Flight, New King, and Miramati, who you mentioned. And actually, any one of them, they're all logical. They'll be the shortest 3 prices in the race. I'm actually a little intrigued by a horse to the outside, Invigorated. Now, the one thing that concerns me a bit is the works in the morning recently just haven't been comparable to the other horses in the morning. But that's a different game than what we've seen in the afternoons. I think if you go through this horse's overall form, wins the career debut going long on the dirt, or if you're looking at buyer speed figures, here's an 88 buyer speed figure, which is like right in line with what Eagles Flight earned in winning that race. And the nice thing for Invigorated was it was actually going long. So he's got a little more foundation going long. Then in his second start, he's well defeated, but he loses to a horse named Mindframe. And then Mindframe comes back and runs second in the Belmont and the Haskell. He's multiple grade 1 place. He looked like he was going to win both those races. He loomed up and was about to blow right on by. He's a little bit quirky, and he kind of drifted out in the middle of the track in both of them. Then off of a little bit of a layoff, he shows back up. He finishes 3rd and 4th in 2 races on the grass. Both of those races were not bad at all. When you watch them, he had nice efforts. The last race, not too many real excuses, but kind of moved up to the front end. I think he's third start of the form cycle. He would be a really good price horse if you could get him into the mix, because some of these races are kind of obvious where you have just a couple logical contenders that I think everyone's going to be using. If I can sneak him in third start off the bench for McCarthy, I'm going to get Invigorated in the mix too. I think Eagles Flight's the one to beat. I'm probably most intrigued with Miramati sending, because last time they just grabbed a hold of him and he had no shot with the kind of trip he was getting. I figure with the jockey change, Juan Hernandez is going to get aggressive because that's what he did last time he was on him a few starts back. So, it's a tricky race because you have a couple talented horses in here, and I'll try to get a little outside the box with Invigorated.
Yeah, and there doesn't look to be like there is much speed in here, Skip, and I agree. The Miramati's sending, gotta send. Eagles Flights looked very impressive in the morning. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought the same thing. My long shot was Invigorated, like Gino was talking about. I love this horse going back to the dirt. The best race that he ran was the first time at Gulfstream Park, but we won't talk about him since Gino did. Eagles Flight, awful talented. We know that. Comes back, training good. It's going long first off the bench. That's tough. And so I'm not going to single here. I'm going to put Miramati because there is no speed. I think they're going to send this horse to the front. New King, I looked at, but I really didn't like it. The works, the last couple works, it was getting beat. Now I didn't really like that. So I'm going to go 2, 4, and 7 and hope for the 7 here.
Scotty?
So, okay, I got a different take on this entire thing. So I remember when we were doing a show and when Miramati broke its maiden, before that, the night before when we were talking about this, every person said, one, the horse was going to go off as the favorite. We all felt that way, but also that there's no way this horse is going to win. We're not going to go burn money with this horse. And, right. I remember that. And for whatever reason, but anyways, and the horse did. But that was such a much easier field, and the horse finally did clear early. But the horse has had the lead early before in some big races. But you can see, this horse ran in the Del Mar Futurity last year or in 2023. And, I mean, that horse ran really good. It just seems to me like when this horse clears, it's a different horse. So here's the thing, though. Miramati goes gate to wire possibly in my mind, but Eagles Flight's just on a different stratosphere. But with a horse like Miramati, almost whoever you put in front of him, if he gets an early lead and he gets to breathe, you might not ever catch him. But going long for Eagles Flight, guys, is not going to be an issue. That I can promise you right now. This horse wants to go longer, first time, second time, third time. And Sadler's just staying patient on this horse with the foot issues. This horse is ready to go, training like an absolute beast in the mornings. I'm either going to single this horse or I'm going to use the 2 and the 4 just because I don't really know who Miramati is yet.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. And the Miramati work on December 22nd was very nice against On the Whim, who is a turf horse but has some talent. But Eagles Flight looks like obviously a very talented horse. But it'll be fun to watch that race tomorrow. It's nice that horse is back. So it gives us another something to look forward to on another good card. Go ahead, Skipper.
Chap, speaking of the works, Invigorated, it's been working with McCarthy's big 3-year-olds. It's been working with Journalism back a few works back. And then the last one was against Bullard, who's going to be in the San Vincent tomorrow. So yeah, I like that. I like the company that it's been working with too. I know it hasn't been real impressive. It's been getting beat, but it's been right there. And both of those 3-year-olds, those are really nice 3-year-olds. So I just wanted to mention that.
I'm back and forth. I didn't love the last work on the 28th, which with a horse named Goodfella, who's just okay. But the other 2, like you said, were with the top horses and worked very well.
Guys,
and you're going to get the
clarification clarification on Invigorate's been getting smoked in the mornings, and Goodfellow's not that great. I just want to make sure that we're accurate with this analysis. I'm just saying, it's not that he can't win. We actually have this horse as 4-1 in the morning line. But this horse has been getting smoked in the morning and getting a really poor rating with the clockers.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the last work. And I was not a fan of New King either, Skip, of those works. Got outworked by that Halone last time, who just broke his maiden. So anyways, all right, we move on. Enough of that. Race 8, Skipper, 6 furlongs on the turf. Allowance optional claimer. Your thoughts?
Whew, this race is probably going to be my biggest spread race. I think I'm going to go 4 or 5 deep here. Definitely going to use the one from the inside. Has the win over a Santa Anita turf course, although it was coming down the hill and they DQ'd it that day, a questionable DQ. The one's going to be on the ticket. I'm going to use a couple prices here. I'm going to use the Papa Padromo, the 3, Havoc, with Frankie Dettori aboard. First time Lasix. This horse has won 2 out of 5 races. It hasn't won on the grass, but it's bred for it. So the 3 at 20 to 1 is going to be on my ticket. I'm going to use Refocus, the number 4. This horse came running late in case, things go a little quick up front. There is some speed here with the 7, the 8, and the 9. So the 4 Refocus is going to be on my ticket. I got to put Afternoon Nap on my ticket also. This horse, won at the flat on the turf at Santa Anita back in October, and that was very nicely. Last time on the dirt, it didn't run too bad, but I think this is more got like a turfy stride. I think the 4 is better on the grass. Out of the speed horses that I'm going to use, I'm going to also use the 7, Straight Luck. D'Amato started this meet off really, really good. Tiago Pereira, I tell you what, he could ride, and he brings in some prices. And I've seen Phil do this before. He gears him up over at Los Al, and he ships him on over, and he runs on the turf in these turf sprints, and he wins. I'm not going to get beat by him. I got to use the 7, Straight Luck. And those are the ones that I'm going to use. I'm going to use the 1, the 3, the 4, the 6, and 7 on my ticket.
1, 3, 4, 6, 7. Scotty, what say you in this allowance optional sprint?
So I want to really like Refocus, guys. I really do. But man, these poor breaks just make it really tough. Now I know one thing. I don't know why they've been running this horse at 5 furlongs. It's not enough room. Like in my mind, they need 6 furlongs or down the hill or something. But 5 furlongs at this level, it just seems too short. I mean, the horse has to break perfect, have a perfect trip. So the distance is perfect here. It's just a matter of this horse finishing. The horse I'm considering singling actually is Afternoon Nap, the 6 horse, who we have at 2 to 1 in the EE morning line. This horse broke from the inside on the dirt last time out and didn't run a bad race against 9 other horses, getting a 3rd place finish. And prior to that, down the hill, was put up to 2nd place, only lost by 2 3/8 lengths. So, and actually, this horse broke its maiden at these conditions, 6 furlongs on the turf. So I think on paper, Afternoon Nap to me looks like the horse to beat, but Refocus with a perfect trip can win this race for sure.
Yeah, as both of you mentioned, that would be my topic. That win, the maiden score was very visually impressive. If we remember back to that race, Gino, any of your thoughts or anybody else you're looking at in here?
Yeah, the only thing that I just was remembering was Double Jab, and the race Double Jab was in. There was a field where he looked so good in that field against a bunch of horses who weren't good at 5 furlongs. And they were all other types of horses that were better going longer. It was like the perfect spot for him. He had a great trip. He moved to the lead, and he couldn't seal the deal. It was one of his better races overall if you're looking at speed figures and stuff. But it was one that I still left a bad taste in the mouth, right? You just remember watching it for a horse that was a short price in a field where he probably should have got the job done and didn't. And now he draws the rail. And I don't know, he might be the best at 5 for him. And compared to what Scotty was saying, you have horses like Refocus, who is going to be much better at 6 furlongs here, have a little bit more room to come running late. Afternoon Nap makes a lot of sense. I'm going to probably try to have some tickets where I go 4-6, the 2 of them. I like the 12 a little bit, but the post concerns me with the horse's running style, just getting hooked a little bit wide. So, yeah, maybe my main thought is I'm starting to get a little colder on Double Jab because I really wanted more out of that last race.
All right, so Scotty may single. Everybody else seems to have some opinions on spreading a little bit, and let's move on to
real quickly, Chappie. I just want to throw this horse out there because if it gets a good trip, and I don't like the outside post, but there's not a lot of speed in here. That horse, the 12 Uncle John. If you really look carefully at that horse, just for the handicappers out there, just look. It stumbled three back. It was ranked before that. It had 3 layoff lines in a few months. And then the last couple of races, this horse has really come along and was finishing going 5 furlongs from the inside post. It wasn't the best trip, and now gets some extra distance, draws an outside post. I'm just saying this horse is definitely needs a strong look for sure.
And the thing about him in particular is he's probably more of like a 6.5 type horse. So even if he's hooked a little bit wide, it might still be okay for him with his particular running style and maybe his fitness level in this race. Yeah. I agree with you. Third start of the form cycle. If you just cross out the 2 races on the dirt, all of a sudden the form overall looks a little bit better. When you watch the races, he had a little bit of trouble in a couple of them. So he makes sense. If you're spreading around a little bit in here, he's probably one that you'd want to include.
All right, we move on to race 9. Scotty, right back to you, the Grade 3 Las Flores. And this is a field of 7, Pleasant, 3-5 on the morning line. Ran a big third in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. What are your thoughts here?
You know, I don't think people consider Baffert like a patient trainer, right? But for me, if you look at this horse, I mean, what a talented Juddmonte Farms owned and bred filly she is. She really is our mare. She's something else. She's super, super talented. Think about this for a second. She's only had 5 races and she's 5 years old. 5 lifetime races in her career, and she went into the Breeders' Cup off of an optional claiming $40,000 win, and almost beats that group of horses. Like that's just unprecedented. This is not a matter of her talent. It's just a matter of she's ready to go. And Bob Baffert says she's ready to go. The workouts say she's ready to go. They're all running for a distant second if she's sound and good to go.
All right, so a solid single there, Skipper, for Scotty on Pleasant, who will certainly be odds on. What are your thoughts? Are you going to try to beat her, or is this a free square as well?
I think it's a free square. I really liked that last race in the Breeders' Cup. I mean, you know, I didn't think it was going to go head and head that day, but she did, and she battled on, and she finished, you know, better than almost all of them except Soul of an Angel, was on the way upside with Drain Van Dyke. I mean, she just kept digging in and actually was right there with Society too. I'm going to single here. I love the outside draw. If she was drawn inside, I might think about using Richie, the other Baffert, but since she's drawn outside, I think she's going to get a great trip, and I'm not going to try to beat her.
So, Gino, to you, obviously Baffert's got 2. Pushiness has got a ton of early speed. Rishi surprised everybody. He's going to the lead last time out, coming out of mile and an 1/8 races. You got to think Ricci goes early, right, with pushiness, and it sets it up even better for the perfect trip for Pleasant.
As a bettor, I always have such a hard time when you have Baffert with the multiple horses in a race where one of them looks like the one that makes the most sense, right? It's like there's not a lot of different spots, but gosh, if Ricci was in a different race, would probably look a little better. And maybe I overthink it with stuff like this. Pleasant's definitely the horse to beat. No knocks on anything. I couldn't even really get to like who was I going to pick third. I guess Pushiness. If I had to go through this race and do a preview for DRF. Ricci is really talented though, and actually, when you look at some of the workouts, this horse worked with a couple of the good Baffert 3-year-olds,
with Citizen Bull last time out.
Yeah, and worked really well in the mornings. And you were saying, Chappie, she's won from 5 furlongs all the way to 1.25 miles. So like she's certainly got talent. Like she's a nice animal. And they were getting started with her in June, but you don't like it when she's off for 6 months. She runs and then she's off for 5 more months, right? She had some physical issues, came to the U.S. in the Baffert barn. They got started with her, but man, I like her as a horse, and she's only been out of the Exacta one time. It was her last start in the country before coming here, and she lost to a monster named K Army, who was just winning over and over and over again. It just depends on the way I structure my ticket, because I don't like playing tickets where you're going to play too deep and double up and use your A and your B, and they're both going to be under 2 and 1. More than anything, it's just bad strategy. Like you shouldn't play that way, but there'll probably be tickets where I have both of the 2 logical Bafferts and maybe key in on a bigger price in one of the other races.
All right, so we're all alive here going into the 10th and final here. Gino, right back to you. We're going a mile on the turf, another allowance optional claimer, another nice, big, full field. with the favorite drawn all the way out in the 11 hole at 3-1 on the morning line. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, this is the race where I think you can get some value here. I think you can find a few different horses that are 8, 10, 12 to 1. That makes sense, that you can feel, excited about using in some of your late exotics. Let's start with Ion Rye. There's no way this horse is going to be that big of a price. I don't know why he would be. If you just say he found the mile and an eighth a little bit too far last time out and he gets to cut back, we've talked about this horse a few different times. He was good at Canterbury. He was good at Hawthorne. And I think because those races are still on the page, he gets a little undervalued. He came out here into the Ellis barn. In this first start, he had a brutal trip where he was parked wide all the way around and had no shot. When he came back, that win in September, that was a monster win. It was awesome. I think Skippy had him that day.
He did. Skip gave it out.
He gave him out on the radio. So shout out to Skip. He was 27 to 1 when he won, and he did it like a good thing. And then he came back and he did not run poorly when he finished fourth, maybe just going a little too far. If he is anything close to that price, I think he offers you a lot of value here. The one, Siennois, who's very fun to say, he came rolling up the inside late. Maybe he'll save ground and try to do the same thing again. He's kind of a fun horse. I even could see Irish Prophet getting a nice trip in here. Third start of the form cycle, Hernandez jumps aboard. He could kind of take one more step forward back towards his ceiling and be right in there. So, yeah, I think this is the race where you can find a lot of those 6 to 1 and above horses where you can make strong cases for. I'm going to be looking for some of the prices in this one.
Skip, we'll go back to you since you did give out Ion Rye at that giant price. Well done, but you're only as good as you are tomorrow. So what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think that was the last time I won too. Back in September. It's been a tough little go here, but yeah, I love that horse right back today. And I'm going to use 4 horses. Ion Rye is my top play, but I also am going to use the one, and I won't even try to say that name. I'll let Gino say it again. At 8 to 1, I love the way that it won last time at Del Mar. This horse has been training good too. I like its last couple of works. I think this horse is going in the right direction. So the one looks to be like a lot of speed here. And I'm going to try to beat the 11 El Potente. This horse, I mean, it's very good. It's got 3 wins over the track. Dan Blacker's having a good meet so far. Hector Barrios, there's nobody that rides the grass better than him. But it looks to be like there's other speed. I don't like the outside post. And the workout pattern I didn't like. It worked from December 15th, then didn't have another work till December 28th. That's a little skeptical to me. I don't know. I'm leaving them out. All that being said, I'm going to go the one. I'm going to go Escape Artist. Got claimed off Michael McCarthy. 2 back, and they've jumped right in the San Gabriel kind of, I don't know what they were thinking there. They took a shot. It didn't work out. Drops back down, realistic, going a mile, has 3 wins over the Santa Anita turf course. At 12 to 1, that horse is going to be on my ticket. And then Irish Prophet, the other one that Gino mentioned. Third start off the rest. This horse has 2 wins over the Santa Anita turf course, Niels Drysdale and JJ Hernandez. So 1, 7, 8, 10 for me. 8 to 1, 12 to 1, 10 to 1, and 10 to 1. I'm taking a little bit of a shot here. And on one of my tickets, I am singling the 8, Ion Rye. I think going back to a mile is going to do it a world of good. It looks like it runs a good race, wins, runs a decent race, wins. This is the form cycle, and it's back on that winning deal. And Victor had a winner today in the last race, so I'm going to single Ion Rye on one of my tickets.
I know I've been chasing. Well, you like Ion Rye. I've been chasing Irish Prophet, that horse's whole career. So, but I think Scotty's going to come up with somebody here that we haven't mentioned. He's got that look on his face. Anybody a price here that no one's talked about?
Well, this race is wide open, guys. But I'm gonna tell you, the 6-year-old gelding Sarwar, the French bred, is going to save ground from the inside. Is somewhat of an 8 furlong turf specialist. And I think he'll run a good race. Rispoli jumps aboard, and I just have a feeling Rispoli, that's a really good ad. He's been aboard him before, but the horse has had a couple of layoff lines, but he's been able to, I think he's doing very well right now, training pretty good in the mornings, and was put up to first last time out, has 2 wins in three tries in the last 3 races. But the last one was against much better in the lower stakes, non-graded stakes, and bobbled early and then pulled when the horse broke bad, never had a chance. So if you look at it from that perspective, then the horse is 2 for 2 in the last couple of races. So why not in a wide open race? And I love the angle of saving ground from the inside with a horse that won't be further back than 4 or 5 lengths.
Look how strong that lure race that you were just talking about too, Scotty, where
Yeah.
Sumter, who won that race, and that was the first time Sumter had won, I think in like a 16 race stretch. And then Sumter just came back the other day and almost beat Motorious down the hill. And the runner-up, Mi Hermano Ramon, has come back, won a graded stakes race, and then finished second to Johannes and ran a really good race. So those two horses that have been in the top of that field, they have come back and been running really, really well. So don't be discouraged that off a few months, that horse didn't really fire there against really tough company.
Yeah,
very tough.
He's doing very well right now, and he's a gelding. He's in for $80,000 tag, but he's a gelding, so who cares if somebody takes him for $80,000? But I don't think this is the best field in the world. I think there's a lot of horses that have burned some money, but they've also run good. It's a good field. Don't get me wrong, but
it's competitive, but no monsters, right?
Right,
Exactly.
And that makes it really tough. And I'll always lean towards probably like the first 6 post positions. Usually that's what I see in some of these races. If you were to look that up, you'll see that the inside posts seem to do the best. And when I look at inside posts, I'm looking at the 4 game time. I know the 5 horse is probably going to be the favorite. The clockers are saying this horse is training terrible. I mean, on paper, this is the horse to beat. Call me Harry, but you don't want to get too caught up in the clocker stuff. You look at what a horse has done, but I'm a little bit tempered because of that, and that's why I'm gonna. As far as a win goes, I think Sarwar might win and go off at like 4, 5, 6 to 1.
Looks like plenty of speed. Looked like ripe for a price. Gino, tell us a little bit about tomorrow before we wrap it up.
Yeah, make sure if you're not checking out those pick'em contests, Chappie does a great job putting them together every Saturday, every Sunday. It's a great way to build your bankroll because you don't have to pay anything to enter. It's a totally free entry. Maybe you're someone who likes to play the contest. We've seen Scotty McKeever's name up on the top of those contest leaderboards many times. Tomorrow they have a $40 feeder at ExpressBet to get you into one of the bigger Santa Anita games next month. So that's one that you always try to take a look at for those smaller feeders, and you can get involved. And I know DRF has a January sale, a New Year's sale going on. If you're someone who uses DRF for your past performances, check the sale out there. Coast to coast pick 5s. And we'll be all over the place tomorrow. Very excited that Santa Anita is back and rolling every single week now.
Back and rolling every single week. And as we said, once again, from the top of the show, tomorrow's first post is 11:30 and Sunday is 11:30 as well, as we will have 10 races each day. Gentlemen, we will talk to you again next week. Thanks so much. Let's win all of our bets. And everybody have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
Good luck,
Bye,
everyone.
everybody.
Thanks.